Three. Hola, bonjour, and hello, everybody. You are listening to Worldwide Tea. It is the international drag race podcast where every single week we recap all the comings and goings of what's going on in the international drag race world. As always, I am Evan Sawdey from Pop Matters.
I'm Gregory Ellwood with the playlist.
And guess what, everybody? There is a lot still going on right now. As you know, on this podcast, we celebrate queens. We do not celebrate kings, although I will say when King of Drag premieres, we will still support that. That's its own separate thing. But either way, there is a lot going on in the world. And most importantly, after last week, we had an incredible Brazilian Meet the Queens going on. And this week, I think maybe, and maybe this is just me speaking, but one of my most anticipated seasons, I think possibly ever. All Stars France finally dropped their MTQ, which we were about to go over, and I'm very excited about. I do feel like every time we do this podcast, Greg and I we also, kind of talk about some of the things going on in the world. I feel like Drag Race has been a sharp relief from everything in the world. I think a lot of people can unite behind certain things. A lot of people clearly don't like Ginger Minge winning certain competitions and certain items. I'll say that right here. But I think Greg and we can do our part to try and help and ease tensions in this world. So, Greg, I was wondering if you could join with me. Imagine there's no heaven. No, I'm not gonna. I don't know that. I couldn't possibly. But yeah,
No,
lots going on in the world this week, Greg.
lots going on, and not just Ginger Minge. And maybe I don't know. Was she top this week? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. I will say I did just watch this video where they had the third bracket of All Stars 10 sit down with page 6, and they sort of separated them. It was really smart, and they've dropped each group interview when the brackets come. And in it, there's a lot of Ginger sort of reacting to the fact, because it was shot after the cast announcement, and then during press week after,
Mhm.
that people were upset she's coming back. And she's like, you know what, in pageants you always come back, till you win. And here's the thing, not wrong, Ginger. Absolutely not wrong, except you haven't been a pageant girl since the Obama administration. So let's calm down a little bit with this. I'm a pageant girl, I'm used to doing all this, coming back, fighting to win. Because even Kennedy ain't that
Right.
pressed about coming back to win Drag Race. Um, I will say, before we talk about the return of the gold standard of perhaps all Drag Race in franchises, uh, I will warn people. I think, if you didn't tell from this week's episode of All Stars, this might be the perhaps least uh, dramatic group in terms of what they do. I think the one thing that when I watched the episode, which I, not to humble brag, I did a couple weeks ago, is
Mhm.
you can really tell that Cynthia Lee Fontaine probably shouldn't have come back so close to her hip replacement. It's giving me Tamisha Iman battling her medical issues.
Mhm.
Uh, and also, I have to say, my biggest takeaway from all of it was, I was wrong about you, Alyssa Hunter. I thought you were way more interesting than you are. I remember thinking you were robbed on your season, and you probably were for runways, but I don't even think you're an all-star. You're a bracket all-star contestant. I'm bored. What is
I
happening?
I had to have this conversation with people fairly recently. If you're trade, you don't have to have it spelled out on your jacket. If you're trade, you just are. It's a state
Yeah.
of being. You don't have to call it out, which is also why everyone else is thirsting after my girl Denali, and rightly so, for fantastic reasons. Who knows how this bracket will shake out? I mean, again, I have no knowledge of spoilers. My hopes, my dreams are with Denali and the two Bettys, but we'll see how it goes. I will say that this last episode was not an exciting episode in almost any capacity. I didn't love any of the looks,
Well,
particularly.
yeah,
Yeah.
but Cynthia and Ariana were great.
Yeah.
Cynthia and Ariana were great. And also, did you watch the deliberations where they argued with Michelle?
It's
See that, and by the way, a reason to watch deliberations. They were calling Michelle out.
yeah.
I mean, to be honest, Denali, or the top two should have been Denali and maybe Acid, maybe
Yeah.
Denali and Daya. But they were not put this bullshit to put that horrible dress Ginger was made because of the performance.
Yeah.
Michelle, I love you, but come on.
Come
Anyway,
on.
uh,
Yeah.
uh,
As a lot of
the
people online had noted, yeah, she won the design challenge because she's funny. That makes a lot of seasons. But you know what? We're not talking about that, and the thing
No,
is that I think we will not have to deal with that because the judging on France has been pretty fucking great, y'all. I think if you've been listening to this podcast at all, I don't, and correct me if I'm wrong, Greg. I don't think we've actually covered a season of France since we started this last year. I think France 3 just ended when we did it with Ruby on the Nail versus La Philippe.
no, because I thought we talked about the live finale.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
swear.
Yes. Exactly. I can remember if it was that or the lip sync
I think it
episode.
started. I think we started the podcast while it was in process. I think it was
Got it.
almost over because it was a delayed. No, wait, am I wrong? Oh my God, maybe not.
It's listen. We've
I
been through
think
a lot of seasons.
you know what we talked about at the end of the year when we talked about the seasons and we recapped each season because we hadn't done about it. That's what I'm remembering. So we
Yes.
have talked about the last great season of Drag Race France, but we did not talk about it in context when it dropped. So
Yeah.
this will be a different experience.
Exactly. And again, the thing that I am loving more than anything else is that these franchises that are considered successful, aka not down under, the ones France and España and Philippines, all of these 3 seasons in and they're moving to their own All-Stars format. I think it's such a cool idea. I think it's so great. And the thing is that what I've seen, especially on TikTok, is that as soon as they drop the cast announcement for All-Stars France, a lot of people were saying, I haven't seen a second of the season, and this is already one of the greatest casts ever assembled in Drag Race history. And a lot of people
Oh,
are saying that, well, some people said that, like, if you think about it, All Stars season 1 for the US, amazing cast, not a good season, but like you get like a lot of like heavy hitters on there. So a lot of people are saying that when it comes to like actually counting out like who are the queens that you would want, who are the fan favorites assembled in here, the production did an extremely good job of assembling a lot of the queens that you would want or expect on here. Greg has thoughts and opinions on
I really, as someone who like lives and breathes Drag Race France and loves it, uh, I I think it's a good cast. I think it's a very good cast, but no Sarah Forever, no Cookie Cunty. Like I just don't know how you can say this is the best All Stars cast for a franchise when there's
a couple of
major,
fairly obvious
yeah,
others in
fairly
there. Although
obvious who aren't
for
there.
what Greg had indicated to me, I guess they asked Sarah Forever, but she
She
didn't.
said no.
She said no. So she's saving herself for something bigger and better potentially, or just doesn't want to. Who knows?
I I mean, yeah, and also like, I mean, even like they got Soa to come back, but LeGrand Dom didn't come back. Like and I don't know. I we'll as we go through the cast, we'll talk about it. I think it's a really good cast, but like
Yeah.
I don't know. I disagree.
Okay.
I think yeah, no.
Well, either way, it is exciting. If anyone has watched, as you know, España, France, Philippines, considered the best, I think, on here. And on certain days, France really, really is like up there in terms of consideration. Like, I think if you had to put gun to my head, I'd say Philippines, but goddamn, I still
No,
love
you're
fucking
so
France.
wrong. I will take you to court. Like, no. Philippines, the production value of those sets, of how they shoot it, is nowhere close to what France does. It's
And
like it's night and day. Like, yes, they did those really great musical stuff. Like, I give them credit for that, but how the stage is lit isn't even anywhere close to what they do at France. Yeah.
And the thing I love is that as much as Canada is still kind of a, a franchise that is ambitious but doesn't always, I think, always have the talent to necessarily match up, rise to the occasion. I will say that the production there takes risks, and I've loved with France when you watch France season 3, there's the telephone twist where like, guess
Yeah.
what? The challenge is over. We're gonna modify it now. It was a really cool idea. I hope they use it. The only problem is that going into the season right now is that we don't have our usual cadre of guests on here, or at least the usual cadre of panelists, because yes, it is Nikki Doll who is leading the way, who has come into her own as a host so beautifully and perfectly. I'm so fucking excited for her, and listen to her new single, which is out right now too.
Yeah.
But as much as Daphne Burke, one of our favorites, is back, Kitty Smile is not. And I've seen
Yes.
Kitty Smile has been doing a lot of dates opening for like big giant electronic artists that have come through France as well. So I think potentially Kitty Smile is leaving, potentially due to conflicts, due to career work. I'm not sure what's going on, but Greg has thoughts.
I don't know. I mean, when they shot it, he didn't have any other like he had like I remember there was one gig that happened that he like but with that people had noticed, but
Yeah.
It is very strange. Like I think for those of us who watch outside of France, Kitty
Hmm.
had a very controversial run as a host, where especially in the first season, fans in France didn't think he was giving good feedback, and he disagreed with some of the contestants a couple times, which
Hmm.
we sometimes when we're if you're just watching it with the subtitles, you don't always get the maybe
Nuances.
the tension and the nuances. But hey, with those AI subtitles now, like my gosh, we'll get it, we'll understand it more than ever. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But I do think something else happened here. And I it's there has not been the even fake like I'm wishing them all well and any of that sort of like social media posts. And I don't know if we'll ever find, I mean they may have all just decided to keep it to themselves. I am bummed, even though they have recruited two very well-known uh sort of talking heads and figures in French television who've been guest judges before to
Hmm.
replace him, that they did not pick a person of color. Like I think it's a very like for France, it's like really it's like just the white, like all white, I don't think that's great. But at least, and they brought in another straight woman. So it's two straight women, one gay identifying man, and Nikki, which is okay, but I just that's a little bit of a bum. But we also do not know what the time frame was that they had to actually replace Kitty. Like they may have had a very short window. So my bigger thing is like, let's see what happens for when they go back to the regular seasons
Hmm.
after All Stars next year. And I'm assuming Kitty won't be back, but let's see what happens with the panel.
Yeah. Now, and before we even get to this cast, though, I think for anyone else who, for some reason, might be under a rock, this season is going to be particularly interesting given that this was, correct me if I'm wrong, filmed right after the Olympic opening ceremony.
No, it wasn't. It was they shot this earlier this year. They didn't shoot this after the Olympic ceremony at all. They
Okay.
no, what I think you're nope, not at all. It's this they shot this at the beginning of the year.
Okay, got it. Okay, great. Okay, so because obviously, for those who aren't aware, Nikki Doll and several other queens were involved in what some
Yes.
considered a controversial opening ceremony. I think anyone who saw it would not necessarily agree to that for the Summer Olympics, but yeah, it was. There was a lot of controversy. Nikki Doll, I think, sued some people who were throwing some slanderous accusations around. So
Did
there's
she did she? I don't even know
Oh
if that's
yeah, she absolutely filed suit on there because several of the queens involved were under some extreme right wing. They I think
I
some of
do.
the
Hey
go
dude,
ahead
I don't think it was Nikki. I think it was one of the other participants in the in who
in the
filed
opening.
suit. Yeah, I don't think it was Nikki.
Okay,
I just want us to make sure we're not spreading
in
um
this disinformation, we're gonna do
disinformation.
our best. Yeah.
I think it was someone else involved in the entire production. I don't, who was maybe one of the other queens there, but I don't think Nikki. I think there was a trans person who was part of it who was attacked, and they sued, but it was not. I am 99% sure Nikki has not filed a suit whatsoever.
August 4th of 2024, Drag Race alum Nikki Doll sues actor Lawrence Fox for calling Olympics drag performers
Okay,
pedos.
all right.
So,
I
which is like honestly, and again, fucking get them too, because like what they were doing, they were just part of the opening ceremony. That's all it was there. So there's definitely a little bit of fire on there, but also I love that they're not taking it down too, because like that opening ceremony was pretty iconic. It was wild and wonderful in
yeah.
so many different ways, and I'm so glad that we had our Drag Race girls represented here, some of whom are in this cast, which is actually pretty exciting. Now that said, the only thing I will ask about this too is in terms of timing there, we truly do think that for the girls who were on season 3 who immediately jumped over to here, they had a little bit of time in between, right? They didn't have
Right.
Lydia Collins 5 days.
I mean, let's remember Global All Stars ran last fall,
Mhm.
and Soa agreed to do this after Global All Stars ran. So they had months. They had 6 months. Like they had more than enough time to glow up or take dance classes or do whatever they needed to do.
And that's or certainly lip sync classes in some cases, but not in Soa de Muse
Yeah.
case, because as we remember from Global All Stars, She won the Already Done Has Hers as prizes, rightfully
Yeah.
so. So no matter what happens, it's set. Let's stop talking about it. Let's dive into it. Drag Race France. We have 10 queens from across the franchises. Let's go into each one if that's cool with you, Greg.
Yes, please. Let's. Who are we? Are we going in alphabetical, or are we going with the order on the Beat the Queens?
I was gonna go in alphabetical.
Sure. Then you take the reins. Who's
In
up
that
first?
Lorenz. So in that case, we are starting with Elips from season one. I honestly, I'll be honest, Greg, I know she was a fan favorite. This is the one queen I had to look up the most because I'm just like, what did she do on her season? And she made it
Hmm.
5 episodes in. She did not win a challenge. I just know that she was loved a lot. But that is, I think, the extent that she is. That I'm glad she's here. I'll say that much.
I didn't even know she was a fan favorite. Uh, I forgot she was Miss Congeniality. Um, but she really thinks she's bringing the crown to Bordeaux, even though she says she lives in Paris now.
Mhm.
Um, and I thought it was a little like trying too hard. I mean, it's a Meet the Queens. They're asked to like, you
Mhm.
know, hype it up. But she's like says that she was too quiet on her own season, and she's being very over talkative during the entire like Meet the Queens. Everything's like coming out like a machine gun, like
Brrr.
uh but she admitted I mean the other she also was the only one who's like, I've taken dance classes, I've taken acting classes, I've taken singing classes. I felt like it was really a lot of projecting of like, I am a different queen now, I am changed, I am whatever. And I'm like, okay, great. I
Oh.
I liked her look. I liked her look. I didn't love it. I thought her photos looked great. I thought it was a good look. But
Yeah.
I did want to say, out of curiosity, by the way, this promo is stunning. They all look utterly incredible. And Paramount is gonna cringe at me saying this, but take notes. Like, I know how they shot this in a like virtual, like, but it all looks amazing. It looks like it's shot on film. It's not, it's digital. But they just, the production value. And by the way, Paramount, like, with the last All-Star, not All-Stars, but the last regular season with the water, like, they spent money, like, they did stuff. But this is great.
Right.
Like, this
It
is
kind of
freaking
reminded
awesome.
me it kind of reminded me of the All Stars 9 promo looks, which I thought were
Yeah, a little bit.
especially illubulant here. But let me and listen, not to spoil anything, I think it's pretty well known. Mami Watts' fucking promo look for this
Yeah.
for All Stars is just maybe one of the best ever. It is stunning. It is so fucking good.
It is
Uh
very good.
yeah.
That's a high praise. But I do. My question for you is, what was the brief?
It seemed okay. So I'm glad you asked this because in the Meet the Queens, it seemed to be that every time they cut to a queen, there was a power of some sort. There was Magnetica had
Oh,
electricity, and Big Bertha she had like the Banshee's shockwave kind of thing going. So I think that like it was basically like maybe not superhero, but like god or goddess kind of thing. That's the sense that I get, and it had to be in some sort of major color blocked single line item. Like that's the
I
sense that I get. I wasn't exactly sure, but that's kind of the closest I could manage out of what was showing up there. If they didn't show the powers being different for each one of them, I would have no idea.
I think it was Goddess,
Yeah,
but I think they were given like clear direction. Do not do this. Do not do that. We want to keep the looks as not uniform. That's the wrong word, but like in the same family as much as possible, because they're all using different designers, and it worked. Like it you can't. It all looks very. Maybe there's a one or two that you're like, but for the most part, it it's one of the more cohesive like Meet the Queens that I've seen in forever for any
right.
franchise.
Exactly. And I thought her look was good. But I think there's a couple other absolute knockouts on here. But either way, I will say at the very least, even though I don't remember her, I'm excited to get to know her again. And again, the best part about All Stars is when someone surprises you. We just saw that with Tina Burner and Irene the Alien and people who you kind of had maybe written off and just like, oh no, there's actually stuff here. So I'm excited to see what happens with Elips.
And by the way, I will also say, and I just realized that if you look through her promo photos, she does have that shot where she like shows the slit in her dress and her hairy legs.
And the hairy leg. It's kind
And
of
I was
amazing,
like,
actually.
and it's like, I don't remember you being like this, but
I
like, okay,
I'm kind of excited about it, if I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's kind of fun. So,
it's
in a
sort of
way, yeah,
fun.
it's cool. Now, I think, I saw a lot of people the other week at the end of Bracket 2 of All Stars 10 saying it's very clear that RuPaul is dying, so that as her last wish, they need her favorite two twinks to lip sync against each other, Georges and Lydia B. Collins. And listen, I'm not saying that that's the same here, but I will say, I would argue almost out of any queen, I think Nikki Doll fucking loves Kam Hugh. I think Nikki
Every
Doll. Yeah,
everyone loves Kam Hugh. How can you not like little adorable Kam Hugh?
un, deux, Cam. Every single time. So she is back here. She was also, I kind of forgot that she was a little bit earlier out than I imagined too. She actually left right
Yep.
before Elips on here. But man, un, deux, Cam just came part of the challenge all the way straight through. Like it was incredible. And she did win a maxi challenge too. She won, I think she won the ball
Yeah.
challenge. Yeah, back on her season two. So she has stuff ready to go. And also I will say her look was very fascinating too, with this kind of like illuminant blue with all these spindly items all the way through here. So I think her being back is maybe one of the least surprising things to happen. Like I think it was inevitable she was going to be here.
So I got a lot on Kam Hugh. So if you remember back to that first season before it aired, Cam was a very big she had a big Insta following for a French queen, and
Hmm.
she was seen as one of the favorites actually to potentially win. She also um she was rumored for Versus, she was rumored for GAS, and but this is her shot, so happy for her. Her outfit, which I like very much, is Kevin Germanier. I hope that I'm pronouncing that right. He is the fashion designer who has done tons of the Grand Dame work. And he also did in the Olympics for the closing ceremony that stunning gold sort of like angel. I don't know what the character was, but like
Right.
nymph character that was it was utterly beautiful that shined when the light. He's known for doing we've talked about on the podcast before. He does sustainable, like he takes plastics and turns it into these amazing pieces of art. It was actually, and he's been a Cam like family friend, like a buddy for a long time. So that's why she's the only one probably who has a Kevin. Like he's the one. He's the Diego Montoya that they all want to work with in France. So my thing about her is like, she's very much the Sagittaria of France. And this is not a read.
Right.
Or even like I'm trying to think of who the UK version of this is. Maybe it would have been Tamara for a while. It would have been Blue. It would have been, Chiron maybe a little bit. But it's like they're very online. They have a ton of international drag race peer friends or online friends, and they all support each other and they all like whatever, and then they go to DragCon and they all take photos together. Super smart. Like I go for it. And she's used it to stay in the drag race hardcore fan sort of like sphere. It's like it's a smart strategy. The queens who don't do it are sort of dumb in that respect. But the only other thing I will say is if the runways in season two like showed what Drag Race France really could be, but in season one it popped because of Cam and Le Grand Dame, and even Paloma sort of like had her moments, but Cam was like Cam and Le Grand Dame were the runway queens of that season and helped put the show on the map. So I don't know if she can win because I'm not really sure she can dance, and I don't know how good she is as an actress, but she is going to bring it. I don't have any tea, but like she's going to bring it in terms of the runways on this season. Evan, Evan, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I was reading up on her too because I can't remember in her original season, but she was also apparently the first time she was ever put in drag, she was painted by Cookie Cunty, which I didn't realize, which was
Oh,
super fascinating.
yeah, super
Also,
fascinating.
I found out that she was Nikki Doll's makeup artist on season three.
Interesting.
I know. So like it's not so my theory that she was a favorite was very much vindicated, but I think she absolutely has a fantastic chance on here, and I think it's the kind of thing where, especially considering season one, She is going to be more than the runways. I think she's had maybe the most time out of a lot of these girls to really improve herself too. So I think she could absolutely be a force to be reckoned with, which I think is really, really exciting. So we'll see.
And, and I'll say this: if you are randomly going to Paris, on Saturdays and Sundays, there is in one of the big parks. Just if you just look up Kam Hugh on her Insta, you can find it. But there is like a drag brunch performance every Saturday and Sunday. I don't think maybe it's just Sunday afternoons. I've been to it. It's like this space that becomes this gay club, like in the late afternoon and goes sort through the night. But it's in a public park. It's sort of wild. And they basically do outdoor drag, and she's been doing it since she's been on the season. So you can always find Kam Hugh performing in the summer and spring, maybe early fall in France. So if you're going to, now granted, she's probably getting better bookings because it's All Stars, but I you should if you're in Paris, always look to see if Cam's performing because she's out and about.
Absolutely. I think that she could be a threat. I'm not sure how many people have identified her as a threat, but I think she absolutely could be. So I'm very
Yeah.
excited for that too. And for the record, before we go any further on here, per our understanding, and I think per the press release, this is going to be traditional All Stars format, right? Top two queens eliminate a bottom queen.
Top two queens, queen who is I'm forgetting what traditional is, but it's the Naomi eliminating Manila moment. It's the
Yes, the
winner
lip
of the
sync.
lip sync picks who they want and eliminates out of the either bottom two or three queens. Yes.
Okay, cool. Just double checking and making sure because I think that will put a target on some people's backs. But
Yep.
y'all, you aren't ready. You aren't ready for maybe one of the biggest fan favorites potentially of all time, La Big Bertha. Uh, what now? Correct. The thing that was most surprising about her Meet the Queens, which I feel like we're kind of only talking about a little bit. The thing that was most surprising for me though was that she had a cooking show. I think I
Yeah.
somehow fucking missed this, but that is so fucking awesome. That's so cool.
It was only on French TV. I don't think you could watch it anywhere. I don't think they put episodes online anywhere or anything. But yeah, I will say for her, two important things. Because in theory, if you look at all the looks, like this is potentially one of the weakest. But if you compare it to her promo look from when she was first on, it is night and day. Like
Hmm.
it is a glow up of like big proportions. No pun intended.
No pun intended, right?
Uh but also she is the only queen outside of Soa, who we'll talk about, who has anything to say, I've done A, B, C, and D, and most of these queens don't.
Right. I
So
was very
she
surprised by that. Yeah.
and I'm not I'm some of these other queens must have done other things.
Right.
And they have, like Piche talks about something, but like she's literally like, I had a cooking show. I was in by the way, a Sam Smith music video that has 1 billion views on YouTube. Like
Hmm.
it's not like she was in some like little thing that, sort of fell away and no one has paid attention to. It's one of the biggest streaming songs of the decade. Like, so, and we're only 5 years in. I I I think she is the one that like is the true all-star glow up. Like, and I'm hoping that helps her through it. Also, she was robbed on her season. I still to
Hmm.
this day think she should have won. If I didn't think that because Lolita, in case you're unaware, she was sent home on a lip sync versus our favorite Lolita Banana,
Hmm.
who shaved her head on stage in the lip sync. I didn't think that won the lip sync. I still thought that Bertha gave the better lip sync performance to that song, but they kept Lolita and Bertha went home. History, sliding doors. Can you only imagine what would have happened?
What would have happened? Well, and also she was never safe during her season. She was high, low, low, bottom two, high, eliminated. Like it was, she was on the runway maybe more than almost any other queen. Like she was
Yeah.
getting the full judges' critiques on there, which is good too because I love that she then turned that into her quiet little empire here, which is like fantastic to the point where I kind of feel great about her because I feel like of all the queens, some queens, and let's be realistic with ourselves, Greg, having watched a billion of these seasons and also many All Stars iterations.
Too many.
For some queens, their livelihood is sometimes dependent on booking an All Stars and having that additional
Yeah.
booking fee and other things like that. Big Bertha doesn't need that. It seems like Big Bertha has
I don't
enmeshed
think so.
herself as such a celebrity. What I think she was in the fucking Great British Baking Show France edition or whatever. Like she placed
Oh,
second
wow.
in whatever celebrity edition that they had there. So like she's doing pretty good for herself. I think she will be just fine regardless if she wins, and I think that makes her more powerful too because it's like if I do great, whatever. If not, it's not going to be in the world for me. So I feel like she's well positioned in that sense.
And you know, she's so witty. Like if you look at what she was saying in her Meet the Queens, like
Hmm.
she had that great line about slow cooking the crown in the oven. Like she's just really smart. So I'm hoping that gets her far. I'm fingers crossed.
Exactly. And the thing is that like I liked her in her season. I think I've actually grown to appreciate her more and more
Yeah.
over time too. So that's what makes me really excited too. And now if we were going to talk about robbed queens, I have to be honest on here. Our next one, I had her pegged as like one of my favorites from the get, and she made it all of 2 episodes, and I don't give a fuck whatsoever. It is
Oh.
Magnetica from season 3. She just came in with such immaculately polished, incredible looks on here. And then, of course, as we always know, some of the most creative looks queens that you have don't always necessarily have their skills translate into acting challenges or things like that. I think about the Ugasio Crujientes of the world, like where it's just like, my God, they have such an immaculate visual aesthetic that may not always apply. So even though she was in all 2 fucking episodes of the show, 3 if you count the finale, but 2 episodes, she is back now. That is not for nothing. She was the fact that I was such a big fan of her and just so taken with her. Clearly, that applied to other people as well. There's a reason why she's back on a fucking all-star season. So, uh, this is the thing where I'm saying that like I think the producers did a really good job of listening to what people were reacting to on here, and so who knows? Maybe she'll go home first again. But I love the fact that she's getting a shot.
Well, first of all, this look is incredible. Her
Oh my
makeup
God.
is incredible. You can tell how good her makeup is because unlike one or two of her other contestants, when they go from the promo visual to the sit down interview, it's absolutely consistent. Looks great on either camera, which is hard.
Hmm.
Um, I gotta be honest, I before I knew she was on, I forgot about her.
Hmm.
But I do think part of the I am really like it's a weird trend because it's not all the same producers. It's not all the same production. And by the way, I hope people realize this. WoW is not in Hollywood like deciding what is going on these international like they do their own thing and WoW like watches the footage and like might send a suggestion or two, but they're not running the show. Rue
Right.
isn't in her, where she live? She doesn't live in Beverly Hills. She lives like in Bel Air, like in her Bel Air mansion, like saying, "Send her home, Nikki." It doesn't work that way.
Right.
Um, but it blows my mind that these insanely talented queens keep going home on every international season, second or third. Like
Hmm.
it's a weird trend over years.
Hmm.
So, but I will say, it made me realize I want a global season of all those creative queens. I want Crystal Method, Chelsea Boy, her how do you say it? Hogacio?
Ugasio Crujiente.
Hogacio, Onks, is that right?
Yes.
Onks,
Now Onks Unlimited. Yes.
Bestia, Lena Galore, Metamorkid, Velmina War, Pixie, Chaos, like all these like in stunning, and I'm missing probably a couple of US ones too, like stunning queen. Like that is a season that would be utterly incredible. It will never happen. I'll
I
have to
know.
do it in AI or something, but it would be fantastic. So I'm rooting for Magnetica to prove prove the track record wrong. Let's prove
Exactly.
it wrong.
Yeah, and again, you never know. Some of these might be big forces. The only problem is that she's then up against some major superstars like
Mm.
Mami Watts. And if you go online and you look at the fan response, people are losing it for Mami Watts. Not just because of the promo look, but a lot of people really thought there was a kind of a justice for Mami Watts thing going on. She made it to the fucking top 4 with 0 challenge wins. That's not for nothing.
Is
Greg.
it though? I love Mommy. She was so fun on that season, but I feel like there's a lot of fan revisionist history about how
Mhm.
well she was because she was not great. She also got saved a bunch of times on the
Yes, she
season.
did.
And
Yes.
granted, it was season one, right?
She was season
Season,
2. She was up
oh,
there
season
with,
two. I
yeah.
mean, right. So she was also that was an insanely competitive season. I mean, here's the thing. This look is incredible.
Hmm.
She is going into this confident as fuck. And by the
Her
way,
MTQ, she is does not care.
yeah.
She's ready to go. It is fantastic.
And by the way, this outfit is very Nikki Doll's entrance look on RuPaul's Drag Race that she then used again if we're going to bring the Olympics theme back on the
Mhm.
Olympics. It's a little bit of that, which is smart. But I am rooting for Mami, and that hair is incredible. It's and the sword and like she is selling this, but also if you go back and look, she was popular, but she was not like she was like the fourth most popular finalist on that season. So
Right.
this I like, and she hasn't done that much outside of France. Like to this reaction is really interesting to me. I love it though, because it's the power of the Meet the Queens and of the image. Like
Hmm.
if you can create an image that gets people that excited, that is talent. Like that is like a drag queen.
I speaking of revisionist history, I just had to look it up. She never lip synced. She was
Nope.
never in the bottom two. She was low and safe a lot of weeks. I think she was had 1 or 2 weeks where she was actually high, but never won. Never actually was in the bottom two. Just was all the way straight. It was the Electra Bionic narrative a little bit from Italia season one. Yeah.
But even if you took Kiona away from that season, no one thought Mami had a shot. Like
Right.
there was no shot to win. And also people were like, I don't know. I there was Cookie Cunty had a better run and she didn't make it. And I like Mami very much, but it was like that was the one thing about that season you were like, okay. I mean,
Hmm.
track record. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, but she was up against Punani, she was up against Sarah, she was up against Kiona. Like
yeah.
it was a stat cast. And even then, Cookie, Peach, like it was all over the place. But that thing I think she has a lot of heat still going for her, and I think she also
Yeah.
has a lot to prove, and I think that's gonna make her a big threat. So I'm very excited about that.
I am. I'm super and again, that those images will for years people will remember.
100 million%. Now, up next is Misty Phoenix from season 3. Now, I remember now this is one of our dancing girls. This is basically one of our key dancing girls that we have over there. I will say that like I remember a lot of people like there was some fan support for her as well.
Mm-hmm.
This was one where I was uh maybe not one of my top picks to be in the cast, but also at the same time, I'm glad she's here. From what I understand, she was in the bottom two twice. I think it was like right next to each other, and she didn't win any maxis, but she still definitely left an impression on the season 3 race. What are your thoughts?
Uh, so my first, okay, so let's talk about her run on her season. I remember at the time when she like was eliminated, that I feel like the judge, I could be misremembering that the judges were like, we really like, you had growth,
Hmm.
you grew over the season, and maybe that was not always conveyed on screen, but like they saw it in person day to day that she sort of grew as a queen. I, she's like two of the cast members where I was like, maybe you should have waited for All Stars 2. Now, and that's not a judge. I mean, you got to take
Right.
your chances. Um, my I the only my reaction to her outfit was, do you ever watch the Kroll show? Remember Nick Kroll's show? Do you know where I'm going? And
No,
he
I
had,
don't.
but do you know what that show is? Nick Kroll show, the
Yeah,
Kroll
yeah,
show,
yeah.
and he had the characters who were the two Hollywood publicists and he was in drag. And the one would came that had the episode, and it was a meme forever. And he's like, "Bangs! I got bangs!" And all I can do is look at Misty Phoenix's promo and go, "Bangs! She's got bangs!" And it's like the more I look at the outfit, I'm just the wig is driving me crazy.
That
It's just this
hard line, that shadow,
it,
that
and it doesn't look. It's not flattering. And
no.
the one thing I remember from her season is I always felt like she because you see her out of drag, she's actually quite thin's the wrong word, but like
She's
not she's
twinky.
not like a bulky sort of
Right.
like muscular sort of queen. She's not Lena Galore like out of
Right.
drag. And but every time I saw her on stage, I was like, you look like you're not in shape. Like you look un
Disheveled. And like her wig choice was
un
always, yeah, never
but her
played.
proportions were always not flattering.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, baby queen, like we'll get better. And then this outfit is smart. Like she has the thing at the around her hips, trying to like do that. But it for a queen in real life person who does not look like she has a dominating torso, she still looks like she has a dominating torso in the promo. Like I don't understand like what is happening. Anyway, I'm being super critical. But she is a great dancer. She was great in the dancing challenges, and she was a good lip syncer. So I'm hoping that she can now. Everyone has to remember it's All Star, so the only people lip syncing are the winners of a challenge or in the top two. So I'm hoping we get to see that from her, and it's not one of those cases where you're like, "Oh wow, the lip syncer and great performer got kicked off the show before she could ever show us anything."
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll see.
Um,
Speaking of
but
Lena
wait, I have to
Galore,
say
oh, go
she
ahead.
did have one other great line, and I'm like, "Did you write this down?" She compared herself to like a T-Rex on the savannah coming for the, and I was like, okay.
Okay. You
Anyway,
worked.
sorry. You go, Misty.
Yeah, I will say, Lena Galore, by the way, she's been doing some boy thirst traps as of late, and just magnifique, as the French would say, just absolutely incredible. And also, you don't always need all-star seasons on there, as we just found out in the U.S. They're bringing back Project Runway, and
Yeah.
our famed Utica Queen is going to be competing so by themselves, and I think they're potentially going to give some people some run for their money. So
You
we'll
know
see.
what? Let's revisit this, revisit Utica and Monet when we get to the end of this.
All
We
right,
should talk about it for a second. But
sounds
at the
good.
end.
All right, now next one here, I have no idea. I have genuinely no idea how she's gonna do on this fucking season, and I do not give a shit. Motherfucking Moon is back in the house, everybody. And I think, as a lot of people have noted, this is the first time someone has left the show on their own accord and been welcomed back into an All-Stars format. Because when Moon left, they had to leave for the sake of their mental health. Like, they voluntarily left the competition, and now they are back, and in full force, it seems too. So I was so drawn to Moon's narrative during the over the course of her season. I thought she was such a fascinating person. I thought she did some truly daring stuff with her drag.
Mhm.
Her gender flip as a trans woman, her gender flip turn in the musical, as triggering as it was incredible to see. Like, she was one of my absolute fan favorites on here. Her being back just makes me happy. She can go home first. She could win the crown. If anything in between, I am so happy to have Moon back on my TV. I'm just thrilled over that, genuinely. What?
Um, I was not a Super Moon like stan, but I
Hmm.
thought she was very good.
Hmm.
And her track record was in a very competitive season, quite, impressive. Like
Yeah.
I need to double check. She might have been low. I know that she never won. She was never in the bottom.
Hmm.
Um, and she did last a long time before she left. She like
Yes.
was there 6 episodes and then decided to go home. And most times queens leave earlier than that if they, especially in the context of only an 8 or 9 episode season.
Hmm.
That's she'd almost made it to the end. I'm trying to remember in the episode if her fellow queens were trying to convince her to keep trying to
Because she
stay.
was very clearly in the bottom two for that episode, and then she just left. That I remember
Oh, it was that
that was the
episode.
thing,
Oh,
and that was
okay.
right after she had two episodes where she had placed high, and so it was kind of on a bit of an upward trajectory, but it was just a big emotional roller coaster for her.
Was she upset that she hadn't won? I don't remember her being
Oh, no,
angry.
no, no. It was the pressure of the competition, and also there was a lot of mental health concerns, because especially after she did
Right.
the gender flip turn in the Rusical, that's when she was kind of having a bit of a gender dysphoric moment, which was not adding up to a positive thing, which is part of the reason why during the finale, during the finale, when they went back to some of the older queens, some very pointed stuff came out. But I remember she was just like, "I'm happy to represent Switzerland. I'm happy to get checks. I'm happy to whatever." But she seemed to be extremely okay with the decision that she made to leave the competition. I don't think she was afraid to lip sync in any sense whatsoever. She just needed to leave for her own sake. But it was a couple episodes in a row where it was kind of devolving for her.
My only thing, my only other thought on Moon is this was one of the weakest looks to
I would agree.
me, and I think part of the problem is that it looks better on video. If you go to the video, the detail you see more of the details. It doesn't look great in the photo, but also the nude illusion isn't great. And
Hmm.
I was probably thought it was weak, and I didn't remember her having weak looks on her initial season, so I was sort of like maybe you got the one color you didn't, that
This
wasn't
dark
great.
forest green. Yeah.
Um, but in the Meet the Queens, I'll say she was joyous and more seemed happier than she had ever been on the original season that I
Hmm.
remember at least.
Yeah. Because for a queen to walk off set and be like, "I'm done with this," then show up to the finale, but then to be asked back and be like, "I'm ready to go," that's a lot of work that you have to do to get there. So the fact that she's here and willing to show up gives me a lot of hope. Hopefully it'll be resilient. But either way, I'm just so happy that she's back, genuinely, truly.
So the other in the UK, did someone watch up? So obviously Heidi and Closet walked off All Stars. Adore
Correct.
walked off All Stars. Did someone walk off a UK season that I'm
Ginny
forgetting?
Lemon.
Oh, yes. Oh wow, she's never being asked back. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, no, and remember they already asked her because there was the COVID break that happened in between. They asked all the other queens if they wanted to come back, and Ginny Lemon said no. But
No.
that's how Joe Black came back and then was promptly eliminated a second time.
And no Australian queen walked off.
No, there's the queen
No,
who fainted, but
right.
that was
And
different.
has a Canadian queen left outside of Isis on Versus, but in the
Yeah,
regular seasons,
not there, but in España, Inti left
yes, Inti
very very
left.
quickly. Yes.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God, I forgot about that. So I feel like the only one who probably has a shot to break that to join Moon is maybe Heidi,
Hmm.
but I have heard Heidi and WoW are not on good terms. So
I
we'll
believe
see.
that. Yeah.
Um, I mean, I'd love to see Heidi again. I'm just throwing that into the ether. She
Yeah.
was a great queen, and she
I
just got put with a bunch of queens who were like poking her. Like, anyway, whole other
Yeah.
story.
Anyway, yeah,
Um,
Candy Muse on House of Villains, it made sense. Let's put it that way.
makes sense.
Exactly. So now we got to go over to, I think, from what I understand, Greg's all-time favorite queen to ever emerge out of this franchise. I think I have this right. I think
You know
there's
me too
no
well.
where is the tattoo celebrating your love of none other than our bearded diva Piche, back for another time. Greg, what are your thoughts on Piche?
Um, Listen, I get the appeal. First of all, a lot of things. One, did not know she released music, but then again, I don't follow Piche, so maybe that's probably why. And I'm glad more is coming. Like, I hope girl get those streams. Uh, I guess I don't understand the outfit. Like, it looks
I would
cool,
agree. It's
but what
very
is
odd.
it? Is she an animal? Like, I'm confused. And I'm not trying to be shady. I just don't understand the outfit.
It's
Nikki, if
like
you're
she's a
listening to this,
metallic.
DM me and tell me what she's wearing because I don't get it.
Right, she's a metallic fox diva thing that's a
With
robot. Yeah, I don't know
like
fully.
I don't but it looks fierce. I'm not
Uh-huh.
gonna say it doesn't look interesting and it pops. But I
Hmm.
also am like, I don't understand. And so that to me is like, all right, this is what you're bringing again.
Hmm.
So here we go. By the way, she did have the Titanic runway, right? Or
Yes,
Titanic runway,
the iconic door.
which
Yes.
hands down, like one of the most memorable runways, even though it's not like groundbreaking, like, but one of the most, I know, a compliment from to Piche, right? But people remember that. I remember that. It's hard to forget. Am I wrong? Wait, you're giving me a weird reaction.
No, this is just tangentially related though, because I had to look it up. Peach does have a song that has over 1.6 million plays on Spotify. You know who doesn't have a song with over a million plays on
Don't
Spotify?
say it. Don't say
Nikki.
it. Don't say it. Don't you dare diminish our queen. Don't you dare diminish her.
Even with the help of a Kitty Smile remix of Fashion Freak, I was just very surprised. I was just curious. I'm like, so she put out music. Does that matter? Oh, apparently it does. She also is someone who no matter how well she does, I think she'll probably have a career after this. But
Yes, I
let's
do
just put it
think.
out here. I fucking love goddamn Peace. She was one of my favorites for the season. I do not care how annoying I am about that. Loved her a whole lot. She also had, I would argue, one of the wildest comebacks to ever happen in Drag Race history, which was she was eliminated, and then they did kind of the Trixie Mattel style. Guess what? Some queens
Yep.
have the chance to come back. She won her whatever the fuck challenge that was, then had to lip sync against a queen who was already there, Cookie Cunty, and beat her, putting her back into competition, eliminating Cookie Cunty, and then getting eliminated the following week for the makeover challenge. But it was a
Was that a paired challenge? Because I don't think she didn't win it. There's someone else who won that episode, if you go and look at it, but it
right.
allowed her to be in.
Yeah,
So
she
it was
had to do the
a
lip sync
paired,
against the queen who was already still there. Right. Yeah.
but was it a paired thing in both? And that's how, like, sort of the same Trixie thing where, like, Trixie was paired with Pearl.
I thought it
We need
was
to look
like,
it up.
yeah, it was a talent thing, and then I think there was the five queens who came back, and then they all voted, and then somehow with the votes
Ah,
she came out on top of that, and then she had to eliminate the other, go against the other queen,
yes.
Cookie,
Okay.
and that's how that happened. So just
Um,
a wild run. And also the one thing I will say is that say what you will about her. She talked about having a gypsy background and having parents that
yes.
were not always the most supportive. And then during the finale, her mom was in the
Yeah.
audience and then made a super awkward fucking moment for them too. Where like, I am definitely supportive of my child, and Peach is like, you fucking what? But like it was a bit of a thing. But either way, our bearded rapping somehow outdoing the streams of Nikki Doll Queen. I'm very excited to have back.
I don't, that's fake news. Like, I can't believe that. Nikki, no, it's not possible. Like, if you host the show, you have the most. Like
Exactly.
RuPaul.
There's
It's
it's
not,
just it's just a fact. I know.
no.
Listen, I could look up Mirage's numbers, I could look up Lemon's numbers. We'll see what happens. But either way, I'm excited for her back. She's one of my fan favorites. Just out the gate, one of the ones I want to have win just as is, but we'll see what happens with this format. You never know. Either way, I'm excited. Her and Moon back to back, the season 2 sisters is like, yes, my absolute some of my favorite picks. I'm excited. So yeah. Anyway,
So
speak yeah.
does that, I think we only have two left.
Oh, you think we only have two left? And one of them is yet another finalist, also from season 2, and that is Punani. Now, this is a queen who actually could put up a real fucking fight for the record, too. Won a maxi challenge, won actually, I think, a couple mini challenges, too. But yeah, she very deservedly made it into the top 4. And it's kind of weird because while I think Mami Watts was kind of living a little bit in the shadow of Kiona during that run too. I feel like Punani, who was a funny queen, was very much living a little bit in the shadow of Sarah Forever, but Sarah Forever was just fucking destroying the competition throughout, just with her 4 straight challenge wins. Like she was a pretty strong force. So Punani was there, but I think it's the kind of thing where she was a talented queen that if she had been maybe in another cast in another season, she may have excelled even further. But I think rightly made it to the top 4. And this is even as someone who loves Moon and Piche, like I think very much proved her chops throughout.
So I was a huge fan of Punani
Hmm.
on her season. Her runways were incredible, and she was, yeah, you nailed it. Like, if she had been on another season, she probably had a better shot at winning
Hmm.
because she wasn't beating Sarah or Kiona. There was no way.
No.
But I also remember her getting to the finale and not really putting up a fight, not even not putting up a fight, but sort of just like, eh, like
Right.
not really being into it. And then I have to say, this was one of the most disappointing looks for me.
Girl.
It's an interesting look, and
Right.
it might look good on a runway, and it probably meets the brief, but and maybe she thought, they half the time you don't know what the background 100% was going. Maybe I don't know what they were
100%.
sent,
Right.
but and it probably looks great on a runway or like
Yeah.
a on a simple background, but I just, and it looked, I just, I got from it. And then also this is what sort of like made me think, like, are you into this? Her makeup on her face, her skin did not match her skin tone on the rest of her body.
Right.
And no other queen out of the entire rest of this cast made that mistake.
Right.
And she's like known as a makeup artist and like
Right.
this is her thing.
She
And
has to be given her little rat face. Right. Exactly.
this was really weird. I don't think she had a red face personally,
Yeah.
but I just I wrote down, did she have a bad day? Like, was this just a bad day for her? But I'm also wondering, like, sometimes queens go on reality shows or contestants go on reality shows, and because it's such a little window of their
Hmm.
lives, they like excel like they never have, or they falter. Like a good example would be Tainomi on Canada, who is known as
Right.
an incredible queen, but just especially when she was on her initial Drag Race season, just everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Absolutely.
Kelly Mantle on Drag Race, like everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Right.
And I feel like, or you know, Irene the Alien, stunning. We now know, like, could be a legendary queen, like in 10 years from now. But
Right.
just that one, just everything bad.
Right.
I'm starting to wonder if Punami just had the most incredible run of shooting the show, and then everything else has been like she hasn't done a lot. Like she has
Right.
not. I'm
Also,
very worried.
I could be wrong. Like, I felt like a lot of her MTQ was like almost like, I don't want to say like false confidence, but it just felt kind
Yeah,
of very projecty in a sense, where it's
it
like,
felt like she didn't believe a word she was saying,
right. Yeah. Like
and it
maybe,
felt very monotone and like. And by the way, I'd seen that part of her before in the beginning part of her
Mhm.
season, and I was always like, oh, because I knew the end when that season came on. I knew who the end was, and I was like, oh wow, like she's better like turn it up, and she did. And I just, it is wild to me. She is one of the ones where I'm like, oh girl, did you make a big mistake? Like, was this should? I mean, I'm sure they're happy she's on, but like, I don't know.
Right.
I'm very worried about Punami.
For those who aren't seeing it right there, she's basically wearing kind of like this high-breasted corset in kind of this deep, deep like purple blue kind of thing. And out the top of it, there's all these like clear spindles that are like kind of draping over.
Yeah,
So it's almost like giving flower. But in the promo look, you barely see any effect on here. Maybe
no,
in stage lights or something like that, those like little strands of things would actually pop somehow. But just right here, it just looks so basic. And basically, I think she was relying on those to do a lot of the work for her when some of these other looks have much more things going on that show up better in different lighting. So,
and listen, it's still
yeah,
better than what Moon's wearing. Like,
love
but
you,
I
Moon.
love you, Moon, but like it still looks better than that. But I don't know. I feel like, you know, some French journalist will interview her in years from now and she'll explain like what was, who knows what was going on with her life too. Like, well, you never know what's going on in someone's life when they're shooting
Right.
something. And like Cynthia on All Stars now, like she
Yeah.
was you if Cynthia probably shot All Stars 11, she probably would do better than we've seen so far in All Stars 10. And who
Right.
knows? Anyway, you never
Or
know.
even Bob the Drag Queen on the Traitors talking about like he filming that like weeks after his mother passed and
Yeah,
like still having a couple days of like trying to figure out all that stuff. Like, yeah, again, television shooting, it's brutal, but you have to be there. And then you could be like mistress and just, pout off stage and that'll give you whatever reputation you have. So who knows? But y'all, the last queen that we have on our list, I think has, I would argue, a very good shot on here, if not just for name brand recognition alone. That is, of course, Soa de Muse, one of our this unquestionably one of my favorites to ever do it. I was so fucking excited to see her when she showed up on Global All Stars, and although I'm sad she didn't make it further, she still won that runner up challenge and did fucking fantastic. I think she also won, I think, the Miss Congeniality of that Miss Global Peacemaker, whatever the fuck they had that they gave out there. I can't remember if that was during the show or
no,
not.
she won the. Oh, did she? She won the lip sync thing where she got $50,000.
She won both. Yeah, she
Oh, yes, you're right.
yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So what? Universally beloved Soa de Muse. And let's not forget that during France, she was a season one. She was a fucking runner up too. For a second, I actually thought she was gonna maybe even take it. I was still team Le Grand Dame, but
Yeah.
like it's hard not to love Soa de Muse. She can act, she can sing, she can dance. She is, as we now know, maybe one of the better lip syncers that the show has ever had. Like she's
Understatement.
just fucking incredible. And I will say, I like her look during her actual promo part. The teeth, little diamond things, were a little distracting to me. But outside of that, I thought she was just, I mean, just illubulant, just beautiful as always. I'm just excited. She's like, again, like I said, like I am so excited to have this queen back on my screen like 5 times, and this is yet another reason. That's why it's like, unless they screw it up royally, unless they all decide to, gang up on Sagittaria, I'm almost confident I'm going to have a good time watching this show. I'm just so excited no matter what happens.
I love the outfit. Didn't love the hair, but it's a little bit her aesthetic. She doesn't like big hair. Like she
Right, right,
rarely
right.
does that. She likes it sort of like what, but I did love the outfit. I am just hoping to God she did not spend all her GAS money on her runways.
On runway looks,
Uh
right. Yeah.
just just for her own sake. I think you nailed nailed it. I'm a little worried she's gonna have a target on her back because she had an opportunity none of them have had. The
Correct.
only Le Grand Dame has had to be judged by Rue, and they know when they shot this how well she did, and they know that she made more money than any winner of any Drag Race France season has ever made. So if I'm them, I'm sort of like,
Oh,
why are you here? Like, yeah,
right.
or why are you here so soon? And
Right.
I I appreciate Soa doing it for it's smart. Like it keeps her in the sphere.
The
And
conversation, the
also,
Runeverse, as it were. Yeah.
we should also say they're doing like they do for all the French seasons. They're doing a massive tour all
Oh
across
yeah, that's
France.
right. Yeah.
And that is part of the thing of why you do the show is because you're going to get money for a good 3 months of like
Mm,
touring and doing all these dates. And it's smart. It like because it gets she never had that on GAS. They never
right.
did the world tour or anything like that. And I'm happy for her that she gets to now like go out and perform for all those crowds. I but I'm the target thing is scaring me a little bit for her. So we'll see. No matter what, she is going to bring it in the workroom. She is going to give incredible confessionals. And I hope Nikki's nice to her. Nikki, if
I
you're
hope
watching
so.
or listening, I hope you're nice to her.
Either way, like it's, I would say that, I mean, obviously, I think, as Greg pointed out, Sarah said no, Cookie Cunty said no. There is definitely a couple queens that could have been asked from some of the other seasons, but overall, like it's still such, I think it's a very good cast. It's like I'm excited by virtually everyone here, and even people that I'm not like, insanely over the moon for the Elips, for the Misty Phoenix of it all. I'm excited for them and I'm ready for them to show me what's good. Like this is like I have such goodwill going into this that I'm just excited. That said, I know absolutely nothing about what's going to shake out in
Mhm.
the season on here. Greg,
Oh, and
go ahead.
by the way, Evan, we don't know either
Yeah,
because they're doing once again a live finale. So there is a top four or top three or top four. I think it's top four, but they will be shooting a live finale that will it's only it's 8 episodes. So they did or maybe nine. I think the live finale 9. So 2 months after it starts, they will be shooting that, and then it will be in the same whole. So it all of these queens will have another shot to come back on the finale and show us stuff, and they will get a long run, and then I think then the tour starts. So no, that's the exciting part.
that'll be fantastic. We've never had an All Stars live finale ever.
No, it's
Yeah.
amazing. It's good. It's amazing. I mean, it's groundbreaking. I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
would I would say so. If you had your gun right now, just based off of love that you have, who would you want to win the season?
Oh, that's tough.
I know, I know.
Oh man, I mean, I would. So my favorite. I mean, I would love for Cam to win it. I don't know if she can.
Right.
Uh, I would love for Soa to win it. I don't know if she can survive. But Mami would be a great winner. I'd love
Mami would be a
Mami.
great winner.
And you know
Obviously,
what? Piche, it's Piche, right? I
it's
pronounced it right. Piche. Piche, prove me wrong.
yeah.
Prove me wrong.
Prove Greg wrong, Piche, if you're listening right now. I think he could do it on here. Low key, I'm not gonna lie though. I'm ready, and my body is ready. If La Big Bertha turns it out, I'm set. I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna be extremely happy. I will absolutely love it. But as we talked about a little bit ago, Big Bertha is one of the smart queens because between that or releasing rap albums or anything else like that, finding opportunities outside of Drag Race is great because it's good for the brand in general,
Yep.
more than just House of Villains. And as we were briefly mentioning, Project Runway is coming back, and Ethan Munt, better known as Utica Queen from Drag Race season 13 in the US, is going to be a competitor, is going to give these hoes a run for their money, given that their sleeping bag look is one of the best to ever be done in a
Mm-hmm.
design challenge, potentially ever. But yeah, there's this. She's not the only Drag Race girl making it in other television formats right now.
No, the one thing I did want to say about Utica really quickly is this is another example of a drag race girl helping to elevate another franchise so it gets more attention to an audience that may not have been paying attention to it that is
100%.
in its demo. So I could spend 45 minutes talking about the rise, death, re-rise, and of Project Runway. But there's a whole generation under the age of 30 who does not think Project Runway is a show that they would watch because it sort of disappeared. And
I only know Making the Cut from Amazon. Is it that round?
but like I feel like there's a whole generation that doesn't really realize how fun and great. And also people don't realize this. Project Runway was the show Drag Race was mocking when it launched its first season. Like it wasn't mocking Survivor or Amazing Race. They were making fun of Project Runway. It was all meant as it wasn't meant to be that serious. I feel people don't get that about Drag Race. It became serious in like season 3. Like it was all meant as a spoof, sort of, but they were still going to crown and have fun.
And there's a reason why Santino was a judge for as long as they were.
Because he was on Runway. He was an iconic Project Runway contestant. And so now it's ironic that all these years later, that a Drag Race contestant is now on Runway. And also Runway I don't know enough about Runway's history, but I don't think there's ever been another contestant from another reality show that's ever been on it before.
Oh, so like the contestants on the show went on to other shows, just not the other way around.
Yes, but I don't think it's always been unknowns. Yeah. I think it's been like this person has made a name for themselves in fashion a little bit, but never like on another TV show. Anyway, but I'm super excited for Utica, but if you just go and look at the promo likes, she's like destroying them. So for Hulu, because the show is now
B. Collins, as it were, yeah.
So like for Hulu, who has like invested in and bought this show after it had sort of floundered when it went back to Bravo, it's all good news for them. It's all gay, and people will pay attention to it, and they're smartly doing it in the US, not when Drag Race is running. It's very like they figured it out. So hopefully Utica goes far. But also we have Monet on the new season of Traitors. Hate the cast. Hate.
You hate the cast?
I hate the cast. I'm rooting for Monet though. I hope it's good. But
well, she is the queen of gaslighting, as we know. So yeah.
Well, and also she's very different from Bob, and she will probably not make the strategic mistake Peppermint made in her first couple episodes. But I also do think
for one episode, you mean?
For one episode, yeah. I first of all, there's no way they're gonna make Monet a traitor. Like you can't do the same storyline again and again and again. But I do feel like this is just my gut instinct. She is a random murder like 4 or 5 episodes in for no reason. They just have 800%. To kill someone and they'll just send her home. Yeah. So I hope she lasts long, but that's my sort of fear. And I wish they had. I like Monet very much. I wish they had gone in a different direction with Drag Race Girl. But the one thing I wanted to add on my long ramble here is I've had a couple friends who'd be like, oh, but why couldn't they like cast 2 Drag Race girls? I'm like, sure. I don't disagree with that. But also, there is no challenge stars this year. There is not one Netflix reality star on Traitors this season. They've always had at least 1 or 2 in the first.
Like a Selling Sunset or whoever.
None. Zip. And there's no Vanderpump. There's no Below Deck. It's it's Real Housewives, and it's like 1 less Survivor or 1 less Amazing Race, but they dominated it with Real Housewives. And I've heard a rumor that there could be another Real Housewife added to. It's like they've gone 180 degrees from the last season. So, by the way, to be honest, if the show becomes Real Housewives just arguing with each other, then maybe Monet sneaks through longer than we expect. But I'm telling you right now, there's going to be 2 Real Housewives who are traitors because Andy Cohen and the Bravo execs are not going through that again. Even though the reason people watched the last season was because of the other contestants and the gamers. Anyway, end of rant. And then also, Plain Jane is shooting House of Villains. So you've got all this alumni like out there. And even 5 years ago, we would have been shocked by that, right?
It was only Trixie who was getting some of these like gigs or these shows that was kind of happening outside of that universe. But now it's just like, yes, I think the industry is waking up to the fact, yes, these Drag Race girls, they're TV trained, they're TV ready, and a lot of them know what makes good TV. I expect Mistress to be on House of Villains season 9 or whatever, like at this point, with the way things are going. So it's just great to see because also at the good time it just brings brand awareness, too. The fact that when you have Big Bertha and we have a fucking bag of chips doing Top Chef in the UK, like it's just great to see. So yeah, the more the better. And quite frankly, if you're looking for some good girls for your French television production, we got 10 that just dropped right now that have a lot of experience. Except for Big Bertha, she's already booked. Don't ask her. She's very good right now.
And just because we may not have an episode for another 2 weeks, just a heads up that Shea Coulee will, in theory, be on Marvel Studios' Ironheart. She is promoting it, which tells me they told her she's in it. Hope she's still in it. They shot this 2 years ago.
It was like right after All Stars. I remember her posting
Yeah.
about it, and then it was just like,
After
oh,
All Star 7. Yeah.
yeah, All Star 7, and then it was just like, well, the show. Be nice if it came out. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever was 2 years ago, but
It was, yeah.
it's Marvel.
Well, and supposedly I have not seen it yet, but like some people say it's utterly incredible. Other people say it doesn't work. We're gonna find out. But I'm hoping her moment doesn't become one scene because she shot it for weeks.
Right.
But it is a show that has clearly gone through a lot of editing to get where it is. Like Echo, if anyone watched Echo.
That one I skipped out on, I think for a good reason. Hawkeye taught me. It's not all great.
But anyway, just another example of a Rue Girl Drag Race alumni everywhere all at once. Like,
yeah.
And we need it, so I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, more queens, god damn it. No kings, more queens. That's our official philosophy.
Except drag kings. Don't
drag
get
kings.
Trouble.
We're excited for your show when it comes out. Speaking of, one thing we do at the end of episodes that we celebrate a queen of international origin, usually for the most part, to try and make sure we get their awareness on here. I gotta be honest with you, Greg. I copped out this week. I absolutely copped out for a good reason, I would say. Because I just couldn't get enough of it, and then I was like scrolling for a while on it, and I'm just like, no, I have to put it out there. I have to toss my girl Magntica out there. Listen, I know she's competing on the show here coming up here, but there's a post from September of 2024 when she's in this octopus look that is just fucking phenomenal. There's also this great photo of her with Black Peppa together, where they just have like these almost like parallel looks that are matching together, like rainbow and black, but like the same aesthetic, and it's just really, really cool. I mean, she is. I am so excited. I think if she gets a chance to do a makeover challenge, I think it's going to be game over for some of these hoes. But just very, very excited for her. She is next level. I still don't know how she's only at 58,000 Instagram followers. She deserves a lot more. But either way, it's our girl. It's Magnetica. I'm putting it out there, and as always, we'll have the link in the show notes in every format that you see this on below. But that was my pick. I don't man, we can have a cop out every once in a while. Greg, who was your pick for the week?
So, first of all, if you have already made this pick, I'm going to be more embarrassed than I already am. But I have to tell you, I found out about a queen yesterday that had somehow slipped by my radar. I've seen drag all over the world. I've seen drag all over the US. I've seen non-Rue girls perform in every capacity you can imagine. But I did not know who Patagonia was.
I've not
I
picked
had
her,
no,
for the record.
I
not
had
picked
no,
her.
okay.
Patagonia.
I had no idea. I'd never heard of her. She'd never come across my feed that I remember.
Right.
And she was in Los Angeles on a tour, small little club tour. Like, no, look at me diminishing it. But like, it wasn't like the Wiltern. And she performed, and she popped because a couple people I know or follow went to go see her. And she has almost 1 million followers on Instagram, which is more than some of your favorite Rue girls, favorite legends.
More than Magnetica.
And has made herself, and she's American, but she's made her a name for herself as a queen that focuses on activism and especially environmental activism, and doing a fun like drag show. And she's only, I don't think, been doing it for more than like 4 or 5 years, maybe at the most, but has proven, is very proud of the fact she's not a Rue girl, to like get herself out there. And she seems like a great performer. Maybe the algorithm's like, you don't like bearded queens, so we're not sending her your way. But like, check her out. I'm I'm bummed I missed also super hot outside of drag.
Yeah.
Uh, but also I think Denver is their home base, and like even headlined Denver Pride last year to like a massive crowd. Like, so maybe it's a little bit of like the local queen who's just so big, like gets off your radar. But anyway, I would say check her out. Let's get her to 1 million. But I feel like the coastal media, especially even the gay media, has sort of not realized, she hasn't caught on, and it's this sort of underground. I don't know if it's underground or what it is, but it's really interesting to me. So if you know more, please tell me. But
Yes.
I'm all recommending Patagonia.
Yeah, Patagonia, she is fucking fantastic. She is funny too. She has some videos that are just like her skiing or her just being a goof, which is just fantastic. She is an athlete first and foremost. But I first came to my attention because there was, and I can't remember if it was how long ago it was, but very explicitly they were trying to remove some of the Pride in the Park situations that national parks were doing on here, and she was very much doing protest staging against that, being like, guess what? So many of your national park service workers are gay and proud and happy to be here, and how dare you even take this away? And was making videos that were fun about it, but also engaging people about it too, which is part of the reason why she was building up the reputation that she does. So political, I was trying to look up, I don't think she actually was a park ranger in any way from what I can understand, but
Oh,
that didn't stop her from still like dressing up in a drag version of it and doing multiple videos around the country to try and just bring awareness to that issue. So fantastic. I love that she's building a career out of it, and I think that her activism has been the base of what that career is. So even though she is
yeah.
fun and funny and super hot, like all of that still adds up to a queen who cares about the issues, and that's what we fucking love more than anything else. So I think that is an absolutely inspired choice now more than ever. But yeah, we're gonna push that, and as always, that will also be in our show note descriptions too. So feel free to check that out.
Yeah. So two great queens. We have a historic, amazing Drag Race Friends Meet the Queens, and super excited about the season. In case anyone is unaware, we should tell you really quick before we sign off. Both Drag Race Brazil and Drag Race France will debut on Thursday, July 10th. They will one. I think Drag Race France will come on at 2 in the afternoon Pacific time, and I don't know what the time. I think it's a later time for Drag Race Brazil. We will endeavor to cover both because it's only 2 at a time. Like this is
That's nothing for
that's
us, right?
nothing for us. Uh, and we're both super excited about it. So we talked about it beforehand. I think we're gonna have hopefully an episode before then to sort of catch up on wherever All Stars 10 takes us.
Yeah, well,
And
I just hope that Moon and Piche are not in the same bracket. That's all I'm hoping for. I hope it's we'll see how it works out. But either way, as always, if you could do us a very small favor and just throw us a review, whether it be on iTunes or Spotify or wherever good podcasts are sold, we always appreciate it more than anything else. But most importantly, thank you all for listening, as always, and making it up to this point. And I think we have to end with the thing we say at the end of every weekend, which is un, deux, cam.
yeah.
That's all I got. All right. Have a good one, everyone. We'll talk to you very soon. Bye.